How is everybody doing today? Just want to welcome you to College Admission Secrets, but specifically UC Admission Secrets. For those who haven't been with us before, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. For those who have been with me before, welcome back. But before we go ahead and get started here, what I'd like to see is in the chat, if you can let me know if you are a parent or a student and what year your parent or the student is, meaning graduation year. So if you could provide me with that information, that would be incredible. Looking to see who we have there. So wow, okay. So I got some 25s and 26s. Okay, so far 25 and 26s. Excellent. Also want to know, are you someone that is a new person coming to us, or is it something that you are that you've been here before with us? So if you can let me know that as well, that would be incredible and amazing. Okay. I am also going to okay, all right, I love it. There's a smattering of people that I've seen and some that I have not. So welcome to all those. I'm gonna get started in a minute here. Just want to make sure we have over 100 people joining us so far. So I'm just always so very blessed that you guys are joining me here. Also, another thing is, remember, is that if I can kind of just ask here, if you can go ahead and give me a reaction, let's say thumbs up. I just want to see if that's working as well, and also an indicator that you can hear me. So, okay, I love the thumbs. I love the thumbs. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot. We're going to be doing some things today. I'm going to keep it a little bit short, so it gives a little bit more time to go ahead and ask questions. Okay, so we're going to do that, but let me just do one thing here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully, just a couple things. I was just coming back. Let's see here. I was just coming back from our college application intensive. Let's see here. Okay, hold on. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Again, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about the top 10 application mistakes. And let me turn on my slideshow so I can go ahead and get this started. I hope that you guys have been enjoying. My gosh, we are ready at 140 people. Just absolutely incredible. For those who have just joined us, thank you for joining us. And if you're new, thank you for joining us for the first time. For those who have been around with us, I always appreciate, and we always appreciate your support. We do these things exactly for you, just because we love giving out information, and we feel that's important that we give that information out to you. If you ever have any questions, just go ahead and put them, please, in the Q&A section. And then what I'm going to try to do is answer those questions at the end of our session here. If you guys can give me a indicator, if you can see my screen, if you could give me again another thumbs up, that would be great. You can give me, all right, let's get this party started. First of all, welcome to UC Admission Secrets. Our goal is to reveal as many secrets as we can that will help you and or your student get into the school of their dreams. But specifically, we have different types of secrets, okay, in groups. We have, of course, this one here, which is the UC Admission Secrets. We have an Ivy League admission secrets. We also have a financial aid secrets. We have SAT test prep secrets. And then we also are doing some things with tutoring as well. So our success stories follow along with as many of these UCs. We have had students that have gone to and have been admitted to all of these UCs, and many of them have gone on to the top ones, let's say Cal and UCLA, just been very successful in placing them there. But as well, we have so many other students that have made it to different other schools throughout the nation. Caltech, even BSMD programs, Boston University, Northeastern, Loyola Marymount, Pepperdine, USC, Chapman University, okay, University of Virginia, even the Ivy League. So we have had so many students make it into their dream schools as well, and we're very proud of that. So with this particular group, we want to teach you what's working for our coaching students. We always want to share free resources, freebies, and goodies if we have them. And as well as we want to make sure that your child achieves success, and that we can invite you to work with us, work with me, work with Coach Tony and our team to make sure that your child has UC admissions success. So with that said, in this session today, we are going to talk about the types of college applications that your students will be filling out as they go along in their college admissions process. I'm going to talk about the top 10 mistakes on the UC applications, but as well as these can apply to the other applications out there. And I'm going to talk about how to best prepare for your UC applications and, frankly, the other applications as well. So, want to make sure, my mom always said, don't listen to strangers online. So, want to go ahead and introduce myself. First of all, I am Coach Art. I am one of the college admission coaches here at UC Admission Secrets and College Admission Secrets. I am also a parent liaison. Why I say that is because my biggest achievements in life have been my 3 boys. I have one, my oldest has graduated last year from UC Berkeley with a mechanical engineering degree. My middle son is pursuing a pre-med biology degree at University of Illinois in Chicago. And my youngest son will be attending in the fall Biola University, pursuing his physical therapy degree, but also playing college soccer. And so, yes, I am a proud dad. They also call me the student whisperer. I think it's purely because I've been a dad, but also been a sports coach and life coach to young adults, young students, and young professionals for over 20 years. I've been a technologist for 30 years and been a number of companies, Fortune 500 companies working in technology. Actually, I've now been with in the financial, the college admissions and financial aid space or over 8 years, and as well as been with College Admission Secrets for more than 4, and have helped hundreds of students get into their dream colleges. My cohort in crime is Coach Tony. He unfortunately is not here today. He had take a well-rested vacation, and he'll be back tomorrow. But just to give a little bit of update on who he is the founder of College Admission Secrets. He got accepted to both UCLA and UCI with full rides, but he decided to go to Berkeley, and graduated from Berkeley, was a Berkeley reader, admissions reader, outreach director for UCLA, even started his own high school. And so he has been so accomplished in the college admission space for over 15 years. And if you guys haven't seen him before, I highly recommend to attend his trainings as well, or our trainings that, again, him and I are going to be on for an amazing training next week. So don't miss that for next week. Now, get ready to take some notes. Are you guys ready to hear the information I'm about to give you? If you are, please give me a heart. I want to see a heart. Please give me a heart. Okay, I love it. Thank you. I so enjoyed it. Now, also what I'm going to ask for you guys to do is whenever I give you a piece of information that you really think is vital and important to you or useful, please give me a heart on that, because then I like to know the information I'm giving you is going to be is useful. So college applications, oh my gosh, it's daunting. For those who are 2025s, you're in the thick of things right now. Your kid is probably working on their applications right now, and or hopefully they are, or if they haven't, they're thinking about it. Okay, and so we're just to give you a little bit of overview. First of all, these are the high level types of college applications that they will be filling out. Okay. The first thing is this, and I'll start off with the most common is the state university system applications. What I mean by that is, for example, the UC application or the University of California application or the Cal State University application. When I say state universities, these are normally applications that are a centralized application for the entirety of all the public universities within the state. So, for example, the UC application will apply to UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Merced, UC Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, San Diego, okay, as well as the Cal States will do, San Diego State, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal Poly SLO. There is also, let's say, Apply Texas, which applies to a number of the University of Texas schools. So there are state university specific system applications that your student may apply through. Now, the other most I guess widely applied to is the common application. And what the common application is widely used for students that apply to multiple colleges and multiple universities, and they only do that in one application. That's why it's the common application. Normally, again, in that you have over 1,000 schools that belong to the common application that are accepting common application. All of the Ivy Leagues, let's say, are using the common application. Over 900 members throughout the United States, and even several international institutions use the common application as well. The benefit of that is because it really simplifies the application process, because this allows students to fill out one form and then they can submit it to numerous institutions. Now, each of those institutions that they apply for in the common application may have some of their own unique requirements, like, let's say, different essays or different information, but the general information like academics and activities and the one personal statement will apply to all of those. Now, another type of application is called the coalition application. The coalition application is another platform that allows students to apply to multiple colleges. The thing is that it's very similar to Common App, but fewer schools use the coalition application. And so what happens here is that the benefit, of course, is it's similar to Common App. It's used, but there's not as many schools. Now, there is about 150 member colleges in that. And what happens with the coalition application, which is great, is it includes tools for students to build a portfolio over their high school career. Okay, so it's almost like a storage locker that stores your documents, and it's a collaboration space for receiving feedback. So it's a great resource, especially if you're starting fresh, like let's say your freshman year, and you are storing all of your documents. The only thing is it's not used with as many schools out there. Now, there is the Universal College Application, UCA. Now, this is a much smaller applications used not by as many schools. Same thing as Common App. There's fewer schools, and it's the same thing. Whereas like the Common App and the Coalition App, the students only have to apply. They can apply to multiple colleges with one application. And then you have school-specific applications. So applications are created and maintained by the college and school themselves. Okay, so this is tailored specifically to the institution's requirements, and a lot of times they include school-specific questions and essays. What you'll see out there is that a university may use multiple. So, for example, the Ivy Leagues use the common application. They also use the coalition application. They also use the school-specific application. And you only have to apply through one of them. You don't have to apply for multiple of them. You only have to apply through one of them. But they give you the option just in case, again, if you are more inclined to do the coalition one because you've been storing documents there, or maybe it's kind of grown much easier to go to the Common App, the Coalition app, or the UCA, just because then you can apply to multiple schools. Okay. Now, there is the key of early decisions, okay, and I'm sorry, college application decisions. And I think it's important that everybody understands what these mean, because it is a type, but it's more of when you're going to submit your application. So you will have use the UC app, the Common App, the Coalition app, the UCA app, the specific school app, but it depends upon when you're going to submit them. So for example, the first thing is the early decision application. The early decision application is one where it is binding. It is a binding application process where the students apply to their first choice college early, and if they are accepted, they must commit to attending to that school. Okay, so it's an actual binding contract application. Now, what is the benefits of that? The benefits of that is because if it's a strong school and it's your number one school, you basically can increase your chances of getting accepted because you're showing to them that you are committed to them and only them. If they accept you, you're going. Okay. Now, typically the deadlines for early decision is around November with decisions in December. So students really need to, with the EDs, with the early decisions, that they only apply to one ED school, okay? And you must withdraw your other applications if accepted. Now, I will tell you is that I've never seen a school that has gone after a student that has not fulfilled their obligation of an early decision because they changed their mind. But the thing is, in fairness to other kids who want to make it to that school, it is always good. It is always important for you to really take this seriously on which school you want to decide on with respect to early decision. Now, there's another type of decision, which is early action. So early action is another early application process, but the key thing here, it is non-binding. So it allows students to apply to multiple schools, but the key thing here is they receive early responses, but they don't need to commit right away. So that's where early decision early action is different from early decision. Now, early action allows students to receive admission decisions early without binding, as I mentioned, and typically the submission is in November, with decisions in December or January. And sometimes you will have early action periods, you'll have two early action periods. They'll have EA1 and EA2. One thing that I want to let you know is that the UCs and the CSUs, they do not have early decision or early action. They don't. Okay, it is just everybody is regular admission. You have to turn it in by November 30th, which is normally the date for the UCs. Now, there have been some new things that have come up, what they call restrictive early action, or REA, or single choice early action. Now, you remember it's early action, so that means it's not binding. So it's a non-binding early action, early application process where students can only apply early to one private institution, though they can go ahead and apply to public schools early as well. Okay, so really it isolates. This is specifically for private schools, but you can still apply to public schools. The benefit of this is that it does provide some exclusivity, like the early decision, because you're telling the private school, hey, if you decide on admitting me, I'm going, okay? But still, it is non-binding. And that goes along with the single choice as well. Now, there is regular decision. That is normally the standard application process with deadlines later in the school year. So this provides students, of course, the benefit of completing applications and give them more time to complete them, and to really give them time to consider their choices. Typically, between you are submitting your regular decisions starting in December and going into January and all the way between January, February, March. And the decisions are made and provided in March or April. A lot of times, of course, the signings of, or the what we call admissions day, signing day is May 1st for a lot of them. Now, rolling admissions are colleges where the review applications, they receive applications and they make decisions throughout the admission cycle, meaning starting in, let's say, in October, and it goes all the way until they fill their seats. And once they fill their seats, then they finish it. So it really, that's why it's called rolling admissions. There's not really a set time, except for until they accept, again, until they fill their seats. This really offers a lot of flexibility, and often it's a quicker response from schools. And this varies. Now, the times that you apply and the times that they shut down is really going to vary amongst the different institutions. And really, students need to check the school admission policy, how that works, okay? But again, just really quickly, the biggest thing is early decision and early action. Early decision is binding, early action is not, okay? So early decision is binding, and you usually should just pick one. Early action is non-binding, and normally, again, you have the ability to have time to choose, okay? But both are good in the sense of all of the earlies, because not only are you getting your either your decision earlier, neither November and December, but also sometimes it does put you into a scholarship pool, because they'll offer those that are in the scholarship pool, those that are not normally offered in the regular admissions. But I will tell you this, the difference between early decision and early action and regular decision is a lot of the very high competitive students will be going ahead and go into early decision, early action. And the reason why is because those are the schools they want to get into. They're very competitive. And again, it's one of those things where you get in there, you get kind of special consideration because you're committing to that school. Versus regular decision, you're in the pool with everybody else, right? But the schools will also go ahead and consider those who have entered into early action, early decision, okay, in the regular decision process, if they find that they are they're still, let's say, on the waiting list or so, then they will consider it during regular decision. So it really is up to you in the sense of the student. If you want to compete with the uber students in the early decision rounds or early action rounds, or if you want to compete with, let's say, the students that are not necessarily as competitive, because there's a lot more in that pool. There's a smaller pool of students applying an early decision and early action versus the larger pool in regular decision. Okay, so with that said, was that useful, guys? Was that useful? Give me some hearts. I'd like to see some hearts, please. Okay, good. So let's get rolling here. Top 10 application mistakes. Here we go. Top 10 application mistakes. First, missing the deadline. I know this is probably so very obvious for you all, but I can't tell you how many, not so many, but some students that I had worked with that they simply just missed the deadline. And our normal deadlines are this, and you want to write this down: October 1st, November 1st, December 1st. That is what in our program that we always insist on. October 1st is for early decision and early action, because normally you'll have October 15th is the first round that starts for ED and EA, okay? So you want to finish it by October 1st so that you can submit anytime between, that time. Usually you want to submit, 2 weeks earlier, at least at a most is 1 week earlier, but 2 weeks early. And then November 1st is for the UCs and CSUs, because November 30th is the actual date, but November 1st, so that you can get it done and then you can get it submitted. And then for the regular admission is December 1st, because as I mentioned, December 15th, could be December 31st or January 1st, January 15th, January 30th, February. Those are the dates that we usually look at. Okay. Second thing, not sufficient proofreading. I can't tell you enough why, and this is why you have to really allot yourself time. Because if you don't proofread your application, we have found so many mistakes that frankly would have probably X'd them out of the admissions process just because of the mistakes that they made. Okay. And it's really, really important that you have a second set of eyes proofreading your application, making sure, because when the students are working on their application, you get this blindness with respect to the things that are redone because they know it. And so they're assuming, the brain assuming that it's there, and sometimes it's not. Okay. Name dropping of other schools. I can't tell you enough. And this is actually from Coach Tony, who has been a reader, and some other friends of mine that have been readers, where especially like say the UC apps, you say, gosh, UCLA is the most amazing business school. And then of course they check the boxes for the other schools. Well, guess what? A UC reader from Berkeley is not going to want to hear that you love UCLA the most. Then they're going to say, okay, well, if you do, then go to that school. Okay. Or especially if you're doing it within the Common App or the other applications and you name drop because you've been copying and pasting your essays just to those. So that's the key thing of sufficient proofreading, making sure that you're customizing it to the particular school, and not to mention names. Now, if the application is specifically for that, okay, if the application is specifically for that school, it's the specific school application, then that makes sense. But if you're doing the common application and you're doing the UC application, or you're doing the coalition application where you have multiple, one application for multiple schools, don't name drop. Okay. The next thing is not explaining any anomalies or issues. So, for example, if your student had gotten a grade of lower than a B, so A's and B's are good grades, but anything lower than a B, which would be a C, D, or F, you need to explain that. One big anomaly before was COVID, okay? Or another anomaly is that let's say that your school restricts your students from taking rigorous courses like APs until your senior year. Or let's say that you got into you had some type of medical issue that affected your first 2 years of high school. See, so there's so many different types of anomalies and issues, and you need to explain that. You need to explain that in the application, because remember, the readers only have 4 to 5 minutes to read your application. I always say 4 years for 4 minutes. And so they can only evaluate you on what they read in your app. They're not going to go out to your social media. They're not going to go out to any links that you add there. They're not going to do any of that because they don't have the time, frankly. 260,000 applications were filed last year for the UCs. They're not going to have time. And so the key thing here is if that all they do will read, and if you don't mention why there's a reason for the anomaly or issue, then they're going to think of a reason for themselves. Okay. Now, the next thing is too much storytelling or not enough substance. Now, this is more towards the PIQs, which is the UC prompts or the UC essays, but it also applies to all the other essays out there for the other universities. Because they only have 4 to 5 minutes of reading your application, they need to learn about you as quickly and as effectively as possible. Telling a story as part of the essay doesn't say anything about you. So the more that you are direct, the more that you talk about yourself, the more that you give insights about yourself and not about a story, okay, and that you're direct, then the better they will learn about you, the faster. And frankly, a lot of the readers, and Coach Tony, if he was here, would verify, that's what they're looking for, because they don't have time to go through this more elaborate story to find out at the last 2 sentences to find out who you are. They want to know right away who you are. Okay, so too much storytelling. Another thing is lack of activity. Now, we mentioned this before. We actually went through a video for activities. If you ever want to see that, then, you know, contact us and we can get you that video of how to write your activities. But unfortunately, if students don't have a lot of activities because the UC application, it has 20 sections or 20 spots for activities. The common application has 10. And so with the lack of activities, you want to try to fill those up. Now, I'm not saying that you have to fill it up with, you know, with all spots with just junk. You want to put in things that are relevant, that you're passionate about, that you have committed a number of hours to, and have good leadership opportunities and options there. You don't want to just put something on there that really is not going to make an impact. Okay. So now, so what happens is now what I'm telling you is if you don't fill it on 20, that's fine. It's okay. It's all right. You don't fill it, you know, the 20 spots. It's okay. You just want to try to fill the activities. And normally students may have between 5 to 10. I've seen students fill in, but remember, the activities is not just the activities, because the categories could be awards that you receive, work experience, educational programs that are outside of the school, of course, extracurricular activities, or any educational programs. So there is a lot that, you know, that you can do to that applies to the activities. It's not just purely extracurricular activities. Okay. Using the same topic across the PIQs. And again, PIQs are the specific term for the UC application, the University of California application, which is the personal insight questions. Okay. And the one thing that you don't want to do is you have to choose amongst 8 questions, 4 of them for the UC. What you don't want to do is talk about the same thing 4 times. And the reason why is because you want to make sure that it's as if 4 different people wrote a PIQ and you put them together and it's a superhuman. That's usually how I normally describe it. Because the most they want to see the type of person you are from all different facets. But if you talk about the same topic over 4 essays, 4 PIQs, the only thing they don't learn that much about you, okay? But they'll definitely learn a lot about you if you have 4 different types of responses. Okay, number 3, academics does not match the transcript. This is extremely, extremely important. And I think I've said this before in my previous trainings. You do not want to give, okay, you do not want to give the readers any reason to pause. Okay, what I mean by any reason to pause is that if they take a look at your academics and they compare it to, and it doesn't match your transcript, then they're going to say, huh, why doesn't it not match? So the key thing and a tip is you really need to make sure that when you're filling out your application, that you have your transcript right in front of you and that you're putting exactly what your classes are verbatim. And if you haven't taken a look at your transcript, you might want to do it now and make sure that there are no mistakes on the transcript. Okay, so you want to notify your school if there is, because again, the academics must, in the academic section, must match exactly the transcript. Some people don't realize as well, if you have gone to community college or you've done other educational programs, remember you're going to be receiving separate transcripts for those schools, and you're going to be declaring those as different schools that you attended. Okay. Number 2, application and majors don't match. And what I mean by this is, if, for example, you file and you put your major in as history, but everything that you've done points to engineering, they're going to know that you're trying to get into the engineering college, but you're just trying to get into the school by going into a less impacted major. So many, the readers are very, very smart. They've read hundreds of thousands now of applications. And so they will know right away if a student is trying to do that. And unfortunately, that can rule against you at some point, unless you have, really great application or your grades or so. But they'll know that you're trying to get in. You're just trying to do anything you can to get in. So that's why we don't necessarily encourage you to do that, unless, again, unless you explain. So, for example, if let's say, yes, you went through engineering the entirety of your high school, that's all that you really focused on, but then you took a history course your senior year and you just fell in love with it, and that's just like, oh, you know what, that's something that I want to do for the rest of my life. You explain that now, and then you put that in there saying, that's the reason why you chose history, then you're fine. Now, the number one application mistake is not completely filling out the application. I can't tell you enough, and this is the one thing about proofreading. I can't tell you enough how many students I've seen where they've done all of their, let's say, they're writing in a Google Doc or something else, and they copy and paste it into their the actual application online, but they inadvertently only paste, like, say, half of their, let's say, their prompt, or maybe they didn't read through the application itself and they missed some questions. So that's really, really important that you get through and you thoroughly make sure that everything has been filled out. And that's one of the things that we do in our program is before any of our students submit their application, we do what's called a send-off call, in which we literally go line by line through the application before they actually press the button, and we give them their blessing on, yes, you can go, or you can't go until you fix this. And I have seen it. I've seen it more than, unfortunately, I would want to see students that have copied and pasted wrong and almost submitted something that was incomplete. Okay, so those are your top 10 application mistakes. Hopefully that helps. Now, let's get through how to best prepare for your UC application. And these things also apply to the other applications out there too, throughout the United States and through the world. This is how you can best prepare specifically for UC app, but also other apps. First of all, increase your academic rigor. For those students, and I know I saw a lot of people who were saying that we had students from 2028, 27, 26, 25, meaning the graduation years. And a lot of the times, there are two components to the academics. It's your grade trend and your rigor. Grade trend is meaning that your grades are going up, and the rigor. And what we mean by rigor is AP classes, dual enrollment, or what we call community college classes, IB, if you have IB in your school, or educational programs like UC Scout and BYU, which are programs that are sponsored by the university, and they provide AP courses. You want to maximize your rigor. Those are the ones that will give you maximum value, and you want to take as many as you can, because they compare you to the most competitive student in your school. And if that student has 15 rigor courses as part of your by the time they graduate, then that would be your mark. The next thing is, do what you are passionate about. So for those students, when you're doing the activities, you want to do activities that you're passionate about. And the reason why you're doing that is because you want to do things that, if you're passionate about it, you'll do the hours, because there's a requirement for hours that we always say. If you're in, let's say, the UCs, you want to be 20 plus hours per week. If you're the top 20, you want to be at least 25 or more hours per week. If you are the Ivy Leagues, or even the MITs, the Caltechs, you want to have 30 plus hours per week. Okay, so do what you're passionate about, because you'll do the hours. And then second part of that is you'll be more inclined to do leadership, either take on leadership positions, take on leadership roles, or do leadership activities. Next thing here is how to best prepare for your UC app and other apps is keep track of everything. It is so hugely important, everyone, to go ahead and keep track of, especially your activities. You want to make sure that you write elaborately on what you did, how many hours per week, how many weeks per year, any leadership positions, and any insights that you had that you learned how it made you better. So it's really important that you track everything so that when you get to your senior year and you're filling your application, you have all that information readily involved. And if you do that over time, if you do that consistently as a habit, then you won't forget anything. Because there's a lot of times where students forget they did this and they're like, oh man, I should have put that on my application. Start early on your applications. We always encourage for students to start their applications in late spring or early summer. The reason why, it gives you time to really work on your application itself, specifically PIQs and essays. So there are three major components that we always talk about. It is your academics, it's your activities, it's your application. In that order, those three are absolutely important, but in the order of importance out of those three, academics is the least important. Then the activities is more important, and the application itself is the most important. So it's really important that you start on your apps early. That, of course, is something that we do, of course, here at College Admission Secrets to help the students get going. Okay. And we are, in a sense, because we're in July, that's kind of the middle of the summer. So hopefully your 2025ers have already started. Another thing here is asking for letters of recommendations. Now, for those who are 2025ers, hopefully you asked before, but you want to ask before the summer if you can, because the reason why when you get back to school in the fall, the students will, the teachers will get inundated by so many seniors trying to get letters of recommendation. Now, the UCs and the CSUs don't need it, but this is for the other application, the other schools. But the UCs in the supplemental, so for the UCs in the process, although they don't ask for it in the beginning for the application to submit, they may ask for supplemental information, which could be letters of recommendation. So you want to make sure that you put together an activities resume or a brag sheet that we call it, and you want to have, let's say, a cover letter that basically says, hey, here's what I'd like you to talk about. Here is one tidbit of or an example of how I did well in your class, okay, or something that I did well in your class that shows and exhibits, what you want to exhibit. Because with letters of recommendation, they really need to be personal. And a lot of times, readers have read so many letters of recommendation that they can tell if it's just a canned letter or if there really is some personal tidbits, because you could treat that almost like another prompt. And the reason why is because if the teacher, the mentor, the coach, or whatever has unique tidbits in there that personalize it, then that's great, because that adds to the content of your application. Now, I know how to best prepare. Guess what? Talk to us. Talk to College Admission Secrets. And I know that's a little bit ingratiating here, but the thing is that we know what we're talking about. We've helped so many students get into their dream colleges, especially the UCs. And so if you really want some help in preparing and getting ready and eventually completing the application, talk to us. Okay, talk to us. Now, if you want to talk to us, and you can book what we call as a one-on-one college admissions assessment to see if your student and your family fit into our program. Really, in the assessment, it only takes 15 minutes. What we will do is we will review your entirety of your profile. We'll identify any gaps that you need to fill with respect to their college admissions journey. We will provide recommendations, and we will share what's the next steps that you take. And again, you're not obligated to join our program. This is completely and absolutely free, this assessment. So with that said, if you want to go ahead and book your free 15-minute assessment with one of our college admissions advisors, then all you need to do is take up your phone, and I want you to go ahead and text us with the word book, BOOK, to 415-938-8721. Again, text us with the word book at 415-938-8721. Okay, So now, with that said, I am going to. So, first of all, was that helpful? Can I get some hearts or some thumbs up? Was that material helpful for you all? Okay, excellent. I love it. I love it. I see it flowing. And my gosh, we have over 260 people joining us on the call. That is incredible. So thank you so much for joining us on the call. Now, let's answer some of these questions. Let's answer some of these questions. I wouldn't leave because a lot of times the question section is really, really good. So let's see. The first one is, does that mean we need 30? Okay, so I assume that they're saying is with respect to the activities. No, you don't need 30 activities because what happens is it's 20 for the UC app, 10 for the Common App, but you can still use the same activities in the Common App and the UC app, okay? So that's the situation, all right? Let's see, for another question here. Oh, okay. So a person was commenting on one of our coaches, Coach Stephanie, who is amazing, highly recommended consultation. That's great. Okay. How should we order the activities? Okay, good question. So with the common application, because there's only 10, you want to order it by the most important versus the least. So what I mean by the most important is the one that you put the most hours in and that you have the most leadership in, and then you go from there. For the UC application, which is 20, you don't need any order because it's different categories. Okay. How can you keep your PQ from sounding like a repeat of activities list? Absolutely. You don't want to do an activities list. That is a big and huge no-no when you're answering the PIQs. The PIQs, and this is what I've mentioned so many times, and if you haven't seen our video on how to write PIQs, I'd highly suggest that you contact us so we get that to you and you can watch it. The PIQs should be 30% the what's and 70% whys. What I mean by that is the what is what I can see of the student. If the person is holding a basketball, they're on a court and they're playing with 5 players, I know they're a basketball player because I can physically see it. But the whys is why are they inspired by this? Why are they motivated to play basketball? What are the struggles that they go through when they were playing basketball and how they overcome them? Why or how are you a better person because of basketball? So that's how you differentiate. That's how you differentiate between having your PIQs not being an activities list, because it shouldn't be an activities list. Okay. Okay, here's some more questions. Holy cow, I have 18 questions. Hopefully we have time to get to these. First time applying here, can Coach Art also talk about the cost of application fees, that is, in general? Yes, there are application fees. I believe now that each application for the UCs, at least, I believe it's $80 per application. I forgive me, didn't have that off the top of my head, but they can become costly. So that's where, for example, if you're doing common application where it's one application for multiples, a lot of times students will go crazy. They're like, oh wow, I can do this, and then they didn't realize each application is it is expensive. Now, with the common application and with the UC application, they will ask you a question of, do you need assistance in paying for it? So for the UCs, what they have is they have an allowance. If you are in a low income family or can't afford it, you will get allowance for up to 4. Okay. You answer a certain question in the application, and if you say yes, you need assistance, then they'll give you 4 free entries, but then the remainder you have to pay for. In the common application, the same. They'll ask for that, and then you will have consideration based on the specific application itself. Okay. Do UCs do early decision or action? No, they don't. They don't do early decision or early action. To them, for UCs, it's just a regular admission for the UCs. Also, on average, how many schools does each applicant apply? On average, what I've seen is 10 to 15 schools. You typically have about 3 or 4 safety schools. You have about 4 or 5 target schools, and then sky's the limit. Now, what we've seen is the most number of applications that we have helped a student is 37. First of all, I highly, highly recommend that you don't do that many applications. One, because it's very costly. and two, it's very time intensive because of all of the essays that you have to write. But again, that's typically is between 10 to 15. So for early action, if you're below their GPA requirements, would you recommend going with regular decision? Yes, that's a good. So for example, if you're going to be going for Stanford or so, and you may not be within necessarily their highest requirements, then you might want to consider going into regular decisions, because then the pool of students may be a little bit lower in a sense of their requirements, and you might be able to have a chance of making it there. Okay, where do you explain you drop grades in the app? You would do that as part of the additional comments section in the UC app, and then you would do that in the academic comment section in the comment application. Okay, so my child is in UCLA's early academic outreach program through her public school. Does listing that as activity count as name dropping? No, it doesn't count as name dropping because that is part of, again, it was just an outreach program. There are a lot of outreach programs that a bunch of schools do. So you're not name dropping, that's fine, because if you're putting it in activities. Name dropping is when you're name dropping it specifically in your essays, where you're just basically saying, oh, I love UCLA. Okay. So another one is sophomore year I took pre-calc A. I got in the first semester in C, and second junior I took A, got an A, and B, got 2, and A. Playing my C, I was planning to put that. I got 9. Freeze 2 round. Should I put the number grade down? They can't verify it though. So this is a unique question about putting down grades, again, and the AP exams as well. So putting down grades, a lot of times they're going to use whatever is in your transcript. Okay, so saying should you put down the number grade down, they will ask specifically. You can choose whether it's the type of grading system that you choose. You can choose that in the application. So you can choose whether it's A through F, numerical system, or that. So I would say is, choose what's appropriate, and then but now you don't want to lie. You don't want to lie and say if you really if you got an 85 and you call that an A, that's not true unless your school actually had that type of what do you call it? If your school actually had that type of system. Okay. Can you list the different 20 type categories of activities mentioned so that we can see if we are not duplicating? I can't list those right now. I don't have time, but you definitely, if you get our activities training that we did, it goes extensively into the different activities. Okay. Do the UCs have a max on APs per semester period? No, there's no max. But typically, again, what I've seen for APs is that students take, between, well, the least is 1, of course, but I've seen 4 or 5. I've seen some students take 6, but that's really pushing it. Can you explain more with example about PIQ with examples? Okay, again, I would highly suggest that with respect to examples of PIQs, that is in our training that we provided. So I would go for this number here that I showed you here, 415-938-8721, and ping them and let them know that you want to get those videos, okay, for the activities and the PIQs. My high school has the community college on the transcript. Should I still have the community college and transcript too? My high school has the community college. Well, if your grades or your classes are listed on your high school transcript, then you don't need the community college transcript, because that was arrangement between the schools. But if it's a community college class that you took at the community college and it's not on your transcript, you're going to have to furnish your transcript separately and list that as a school separately. If you choose a harder major to get into, then what your activities must suggest is that. If you choose a harder major to get into, then what your activities must suggest is that okay? Yes. Again, the activities that you do don't necessarily have to be related to the major. But the thing is, again, as I mentioned, If it's the case where you are just dominating with engineering, but you choose a major of history, unless you explain it, they're going to wonder why. Okay. And you never want to have the readers wonder why or to try to deduce why. But if you do, if you choose a harder major and your activities don't really suggest it, that's okay because it's a harder major. But all you have to do is to explain that in the additional comment section. What if my child wants a double major in Spanish and biology? Can she put both on her application, or will she have to choose one major only? If only one choice, what do you recommend? Okay. So typically, if they want to do a double major, they're going to allow you to. They're going to ask you what are the two majors. And what happens is normally is that if, for example, they're going pre-med and she wants to major, a lot of times, if for example she wants to go pre-med, wants to go to medical school, I've seen students where they don't have to be a biology major to make it to medical school. So if she was going to choose that she's good at Spanish, choose Spanish, and then but the only thing here is that then you're going to have to work with the school to try to get into the biology major and or to dual major with biology and Spanish. But you can do is you can mention that also in your additional comments section. Someone is passionate about music but wants to do engineering, then how would readers infer in activities, since one will spend more time on passionate things versus other engineering related things? Well, again, that would be explained in your prompts. Okay, so remember your PIQs is talking about yourself, talking about what your love is and what your passions are. So if you're passionate about music and but you want to do engineering, that's fine because music will be one of your passions. Okay, so and if your activities you're doing music and you want to go engineering, that's fine too. You just have to make sure that you explain that in your prompts. If there's only one C in an honors math class as a 10th grader, but A's and B's math, and does a C have to be discussed as an? Yes. It doesn't matter when you get the C, what class you get the C. You need to explain all grades that are below a B. How can you keep your PIQ from sound like a repeat? Okay, I already answered that one. Which section does the UC Scout courses go? What happens is the UC Scout courses go under courses that you've taken, but it's under the separate school. Where do you explain anomalies? It is in the essays. Anomalies are explained within the additional comment section for the UC app, or the additional comment section in the Common App, or if it's academic related, in the Common App, they actually have a separate academic section. Can you reuse Common App personal statement for? Yes, absolutely. And I would encourage you to, if it makes sense. The Common App and the UC apps don't talk with one another. And so what we do is we normally say, work on your 4 UC application prompts, the PIQs, and then if possible, use one of the 4 as your 650 personal statement for your common application, and just expand it. Should my common app personal statement include ECs, or should it be something different? Okay. First of all, if you mean extracurriculars, your personal statement again is not an activities list. You can say certain activities if they really provide the what's in the story, but you should not be listing out, I did this, I did this, I did this, because that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for who you are. So I would not list out activities in your prompts if you don't need to, unless it's irrelevant to the story. Only top students can apply for ED program or average. No, anybody can apply to ED programs, okay? And but what I'm saying is that normally very competitive students apply during early decision. So that's who you're competing against. But it doesn't mean that average students can. It's a matter of do you have the best chances of making it if you go up against them? Should I mention which UC I attended Cosmos in the? No, you could just say Cosmos. It doesn't matter which UC. Just say you attended Cosmos and describe it. But if you do, if there's something specific that you did at UCDF, that's fine. That's okay. Worth reporting 3s on the AP. You should be reporting all of your AP scores. And the reason why is because, again, you don't want readers to say, huh, they took the class, but they didn't take the exam. So you should always report your AP scores. yeah, again, same thing. Report all your IC scores. Is it really okay to not take the SAT? It is okay to not take the SAT if you're going for the UCs and CSUs because it's test blind. It the taking SAT and ACT, it's a little bit okay. It doesn't hurt you if you put it on there if they're test optional, and of course you have to do it if you're test required, especially if you have a good test score. Now I know I'm at 7 o'clock here. I'm going to. Does anybody? And I can keep going. Oh my gosh, it's doubled in, and I greatly apologize. We're at 7 o'clock. Would you guys mind if I took an extra 5 minutes just to try to get to some of these? I won't be able to get to all of them, but would you guys like me to take an extra 5 minutes? Are these useful for me answering these questions? Give me some hearts or okay, good. It looks like a lot of people. Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, I cannot do that because, well, I'm gonna do two more questions. Unfortunately, because we have another office hours that we have to do. If child gets straight A's and 1C and AP scores are 3 and 4, is that a red flag? No, it's not a red flag. It's out, and especially if they got the C and their freshman year, then what happens is, remember, grade trends. If they're going up, that's good because that they're going to assume. Hopefully, you get those C's early on. What is the typical number of AP and honors classes that students take? It really depends. It depends on the type of the number of APs that a student take because remember you're comparing them against the most competitive student in your school. If that most competitive student has taken 15 rigor courses, that's the mark. But typically what I've seen is 10 or more, depending upon this, again, 10 or more, it's hard to say, but 10 or more get you into the ballpark. How does the schools know you only select one restrictive action? They don't. The schools won't know restrictive early action and not multiple. They don't, but again, that's an honor system, okay? So that if you're applying for a school and you're applying for ED and you say, yes, I know that I understand it's a binding contract, then you have to abide by it. If I use the prompt about the challenges I face for my grade drop, then do I still need to mention it in the additional section? No, you don't need to mention it in the additional section. But remember, challenges, the challenge question as part of the UC is really something that's significant. Like for example, you had a medical condition that really affected your grades. Maybe that is the challenge, right? For your grade drop. Or you have maybe you had a learning disability or something like that, right? Do early college programs that are offered through high school considered for GPA calculation by? Don't worry about the GPA. GPA is insignificant. So they're not looking at necessarily the GPA. They're looking at the grades that you come. Can you explain the UC unweighted cap fully and unweighted again? GPA. I would not worry about GPA because that is something that is irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but it is not an important factor in the process. If someone wants to do engineering, is okay. AP is non-engineering. Yes, it is okay that the AP is non-engineering. My child is an IB class in AP and took AP exams and scored threes. They won't know she took them. They will if you post them. So I would post the AP exams even though you didn't take the course. Is it better to take in the course? Yes, of course, because in they will always wonder why. But if you've taken the APs, list them. Okay, that's it. Again, want to make sure that if you want a free 15-minute assessment with us, please type in book at 415-938-8721. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you for attending. Look forward to joining us next week because Coach Tony and I are going to be on and we are going to have a really, really interesting, juicy, compelling subject for next week. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for taking the time with being with me and looking forward to seeing you again next week. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye-bye.